We all stand on the threshold of hell. And that's not a lie, it's not an exaggeration, that's not anything other than the evidence of what is true. We are just about 9 billion people, or we soon will, and 9 billion people standing 1 meter apart. 1 meter each means that from center to center. It means that we go 9 million kilometers. So 9 million kilometers represents a line of humanity that goes to the moon and back on average 23 times. Well, it's 23 lines, so it's not quite 12 round trips. Think about that. Look at the moon, how many people that is. Kill a billion people, still 8 billion people left. At 9 billion people, we consume, if we eat a pound of food a day, that includes everything, plants, all of it. If we eat 1 pound of food a day, that's roughly 3.3 trillion pounds of food, not including waste, not including what we don't eat, but 3.3 trillion pounds of food runs out to about 6.6 billion cattle a year. That's how much we eat. If we don't eat anything but cows. So, to keep it simple, and the cow represents about a gain of about 500 pounds a year of actual food. So the deal is that we can't survive these things. This is a finite planet. It's a limited amount of space. We take up most of it. You're killing off the ocean life. You're killing it off. Sea ice represents a large portion of what is a primary food substance. It grows on the bottom of sea ice that feeds the ocean. And you're taking that away. And of course the sea ice actually determines a lot about weather. And if it moderates the temperature of this earth and determines where the rain is going to fall. And of course you've been finding out that the rain pattern is different now. And it's going to be more different. We have an endless amount of problems, all due to University knows. University has been in charge of everything for decades, for the last 50 years, since Reagan gave the entire currency of the United States over to the university, who gave themselves $1 million raise. And then the entire population of this nation screamed, "We found the money!" And they all went to college as best they could to get the debt that they couldn't pay back later on. But anyway, the end result of it is that as a world, we are in big trouble. We're going to die. We're going to go extinct. Hell means that we can't possibly get out of this. We can't, nature is crushed by geneticists that are in the universities. The planet itself could ignite into a nuclear fire, and that might be the most merciful way we can end. It might. Because if you look at the amount of resources that we use and throw away and all of the things that you do, then we know that you're going to run out. You've stolen all of the resources that you claim has made you rich from the future, because that's what the university said. Don't worry about today, no consequences for us. Take it from the future, kill them off. That's what we're going to do. That's what you did do. And they don't have a future because of you. So you're responsible for killing 1 billion people or so, just from the garbage mountains that you created. And of course that doesn't include all the poison that you dumped onto the water supply, around it, in it, under it, everywhere. We are at the edge of hell, because the end result is that 9 billion people have to have something to eat, have to have something to drink, have to have something to work with, and the end result of that will be war. And it won't be war like it's been. It will be a war of weapons of mass destruction. which will end with life on Earth is decimated. There's you can't live here, you can't live there. They released, the universities hold. There's I don't know how many, a million universities around the world that have the most lethal diseases that are ever known in their storage, in accessed by a million people. Who knows how many people actually have real world access to the deadliest diseases ever produced by men. It's produced by men because they didn't exist in nature. It's entirely a university created thing, just like COVID was an entirely university created thing. And their geneticists are busy mutilating the DNA in human life. That's what happens when you give control over to, nobody has to tell you anything about a vaccine or anything else. They don't have to tell you nothing. They'll just give it to you and make you the test animal, like they do with St. Jude. That doesn't mean they don't do something that have value for those people, but you don't know what they're doing. They're experimenting. That's what they do. Like Nazis and everybody else that throughout history did do. So you don't know anything. But we know that people need water and people need food and people need resources and there will be wars. And so we know that the end of all of that is coming soon, because the end result of stealing from the future means the future doesn't have anything to keep you alive. So the future is a dead world. There's 10,000 things that could go wrong, and will go wrong. The apocalypse, or the prediction that there will be war for water, extreme war for water, will be true. Mexico City is an example of that. They decided that they could make money by creating irrigated agricultural, and so they drained their own aquifer, and Mexico City, of 22 million people, are on the edge of having no water at all for their agriculture, for their money. They want money. So this is a world created by university knows, the deceit and the disgrace and the sewage of university knows. And it's money, 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 chop, 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 money, 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 win, 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 or lose, lose, lose. And we judge you badly for lose. And we don't care. That's what humanity is. Steal, 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 stake, steal, steal some more, betray, steal some more. So you can solve that by resolving to change. You can solve that by using the law is the only solution that we have. We have to all decide together. All of us, we have to decide what the law is together. By our vote. All of us. One vote will make it the law. And then, of course, the tyrants can be controlled by our vote, because the end result is they don't have the robotic soldiers in place yet to defeat us. They're coming, but they're not really quite here yet, but they're coming. And of course, they have created, we control everything through computers and what have you, so they can shut down this and shut down that and cause a tremendous chaos just in the people who are supposed to protect us. It only takes one to kill a world, really. Igniting a nuclear fire will do that. Who gives that order? So we have Satan on earth, if you want to be religious. It's a religious word, but it means destroyer of the world. And we are certainly at the edge of complete destruction of our world. No water will prove that. No food will prove that. You're killing the oceans. You're killing every chain of life. We eat life. You're killing everything. The climate, the change. You can't survive the heat that's coming. You have to stop. You have to change. You have to do everything different. In other words, the university and their design of everything about life and everything about living and everything about society and everything about everything about everything about everything about everything is wrong. None of it was about survival. All of it was about giving you what you wanted. And of course what you wanted turns out to be hell. Because it's coming. Either you back up, either you stop, and we try to fix it, or you just plain die. It's a choice. And of course, you're taking your children with you. No matter what you choose, you're taking your children with you. To hell, or back to the truth, and we can hope that we can find life back. But it's a choice. So make your choice and live your truth, because it's coming one way or the other. And people have said to me, "You're nobody, you're nobody, you're nobody," 10,000 times. You can't change nothing. And they're right. I can't change anything. Together we can change the world. Separately we can't. So if you get on board and want to change the world, you can change that world with or without me. But you can't survive what we have today. You certainly can't depend upon the universities to make something better for you. They're not going to do it. They brought you here to the edge of chaos, to the edge of eternity, to the edge of their failures. Evolution is a perfect example of their failures. Not a single solitary piece of evidence to prove that there's any evolution. Nothing. They have nothing. Look at their proof. Look at it. Examine it for the evidence, and you'll find they have nothing. Except adaptation, and adaptation is real, but that's part of thought. And every part of the body, every part of your hands and your feet and your face and everything is a design. So, try to wake up. That's all I got to tell you. Because, we're at the end of the line. The door will open soon. And there will be no choices left. So the wind is making a little noise. Nonetheless, the idea here is to enlighten you, or to encourage you to stop the universities from their fusion experiments. That's the primary goal of all the work that I've ever done, basically, as far as community goes. The idea that they can create a nuclear fire, which is how the sun works. It doesn't matter what they tell you. The sun works by a nuclear fire. That's the heat that we receive. There is nothing that we know of that would not be a nuclear fire. That's what the sun does. They don't know anything about the core of the sun. They don't know anything about any of it. They're just guessing. It's just all theories. But the end result is they're trying to create that same fire here. And that means that we can end up with the same fire that's on the sun here. And of course that would be bad, because it would simply evict the atmosphere in a few days and melt anybody that was within 1,000 miles of it, and so on. So the cost of being wrong is extreme, beyond extreme. It is life or death for our world. And so the end result is that we need to investigate and prove what is or is not true about what they do, and then decide for ourselves whether or not we will allow them to continue. That is the primary element of life or death on this world. And of course there's numerous other things. We drink water, and the water supplies are being poisoned, and you don't know what the water supplies are. But I went to the Illinois State Water Survey here in the area, and they said it takes 50 inches of rain to equal 1 inch of aquifer recharge. So in other words, you don't know what's going on with the aquifer, and without the aquifer we all die. There is no water. You can't just have a farm or a rural community or anything without water. You have to have the water. And if the water is disappearing, you can't have that. So we need to know what that is, and we need to know that they are simply adding chaos to nature because they want to destroy it, similar to causing a bridge to collapse. When they know that the bridge collapsed because of this or that or the other thing, then they figure they can design that and create their own bridge, which would be better. And that's what they want to do. They want to play God and redesign nature for themselves and claim they are God. And of course, that end result is that is actually called Armageddon in the Bible. Whether you believe religiously or not, I don't care. Belief is a bad thing. It is believing whatever you want is true, and of course that's not true. Whatever you want is not true. It's just what you want. So it's a lie to consider that. You have to stop that. You have to accept that truth decides. That's the only thing we have. Truth decides. And so our choice is then to identify what is or is not true. That's the best we can do. That is our duty to ourselves, to our nation, to our future, to our world. That's our duty. So I'm telling you that the cost of being wrong with fusion is the end of this world. By fire. Incineration. It's a 1,000,000-mile long flame, according to scientists on the sun. A 1,000,000-mile long flame, 4 times farther than the moon is to the earth. A 1,000,000-mile long flame is what they're trying to ignite. And of course, fire means it's a self-sustaining event. That's what fire means. It's a self-sustaining event. So they can't put it out. They're believing that gravity will not allow it to continue, but they don't know what gravity is. So the end result is that there are 130 major experiments being conducted throughout the world. Massive events, trillions of dollars, millions of kilowatts being used. And the claim by scientists is that nuclear energy releases 4 million times more energy than what does our general use fire here. So fire that's 4 million times more is a candle light, a candle flame that's suddenly, instantly 62 miles high. Even you can understand the cost of that being wrong. So the idea that you can just believe whatever you want to believe is a lie. You cannot. The idea that you can trust the universities to do whatever they do without endangering you is an absolute lie, because they endanger you in every conceivable way. Wrecking nature. They don't know what they're doing, but they can wreck it. They can destroy it. And of course, fusion is the same. They claim that they can combine 2 hydrogen atoms with to make a helium atom, but they proved that wrong in 2012 at Lawrence Livermore Laboratories in San Francisco. They proved it wrong, but they continue anyway because it's their job, and they get trillions of dollars for that, and they get to employ lots of people, and they have power and pride and everything they want. So the end result of that is they're not going to quit. We have to make them stop. Would you want your job to be taken away? No. It doesn't matter to them, apparently, that the world would die if they are wrong. And of course they are wrong. And proving that, of course, to a cult of believers is impossible, because you are a cult of believers. You cannot be proven. The truth doesn't matter. Evidence doesn't matter. All that matters is that you believe whatever you believe, and of course media imparts that upon you so that you believe. You believe what media tells you. You believe what university tells the media to tell you. You believe whatever it is that the media says, you are a cult. So, given that truth, given that reality, and the consequence of being wrong is that the world dies by fire. A fire all engulfing, just like the sun, because it burns atoms, and everything on earth is made of atoms, which means everything on earth is made of fuel. So I recommend that you actually think for yourself. Think about one single thing. the cost of being wrong, and understand they don't know anything about the sun other than what we all know. Really, it's you stand out in the sun, it'll blind you if you watch it too much. Stand out in the sun, it will heat you from 94 million miles away. Stand out in the sun without ozone, which the jet planes that take you to vacations are consuming for oxygenating their fuel to fire. So very little ozone is actually left. That's the price of your vacation, your end of life on Earth by radiation poisoning, which is what happens when ozone is dead. And all the things that are going wrong, all the things that are going wrong. Redress of grievances is our legal right in this USA to demand an accounting, to demand that the oath and the sworn oath of our Constitution, which is what our government employees declare they will obey, is our legal response to that whole thing. Our legal right to demand a trial. Just go out and demand a trial. As a public, take a vote, demand a trial. Demand that we will investigate the cost of being wrong, what is right, what is false, what is true, what is not, what is good for the nation or bad for the nation, whatever it is, we'll investigate it, because that's our choice. That's our legal choice. That's not a war, that's not a weapon, that's not a screaming match, that's just the law. And the law, of course, allows us to vote upon whether or not we believe or we accept this is or is not true. And then we have a right to define and distinguish what it is that our nation should or should not be doing by ourselves, by our vote, by our choice. It's called democracy. So think about that. Do what you can do. Communicate, because I can't communicate for you. Every door is closed to me. Everybody believes they're smarter than me. And who knows, maybe they are. Who cares? I don't care. The cost of being wrong, however, is an entirely different thing. If you let them ignite the planet on fire, just like the sun, if you're wrong, our Earth becomes a sun, and you burn me just like it burns you. What value is that? The idiots and the failures and the former classmates of yours at our university have no clue. They believe. They're a cult. They believe. Truth doesn't matter. They believe. And that's not against religion, because you can believe whatever it is that religion asks you to believe, which is what happens, how did you get here, and what happens when you die. That's what religion is about. But the reality of university is that they want control over everything. They've stolen everything. They've given their graduates an insurgency that is an army against us. There's endless things that have to be corrected in order for us to survive. Endless things, just enormous amounts, but they don't match for any way or shape or form the reality of being thrown into hell or Hades. Hell means that we have no options left. The world is dying and we can't stop it. And of course, Hades means that they did ignite a fire, just like the sun here on Earth. And it consumed us. That's the price of being wrong. Make a choice. It's your life. It's your child. It's your future. It's everything. Literally everything. There are no politics here. It's everything that we are, everything that we can be, everything. That's the price of being wrong. And of course, the universities lead the way. So start questioning them in the reality of what they believe, because a theory is not enough. Fantasies are not enough. Delusions are not enough. Imagination is not enough. Reality must decide. And that means we have to find out, to the best of our abilities, what is and is not true, and what is and is not the cost of being wrong. That's what I have to say to you. Your choice if you want to spread that or not. It's your choice. You get to die too, but it's still your choice. Every lie is a closed door behind which the liar hides. That's why they lie, to hide or run away from the truth. Every theft is not required of you until you know it's actually happened. So you can, be free to think whatever you want until you know that it was stolen. Every betrayal is someone who believes that they are far more important than you are. Every act of terrorism is an act that I can play God. That's what they're trying to tell you. I can play God, or I am God, or you are not. So we know in these things that the identity of people is shaped by their own choice. So your identity is your choice, or your truth. What you do to identify yourself is your truth. Make a choice, because the world will die. It will not be okay. Being wrong is being wrong, and they're poisoning all the water. They're literally destroying nature itself because they have no idea what they're doing with genetics. All it takes is one wrong thing, and our nature will collapse. Being wrong with fusion, which is a lie in itself, means that we all die in a fire, a world-ending fire. I cannot tell you enough that this is no game. Your universities have declared themselves to be God. They've created tools that will end our lives. They sterilize everything. Too many people is too many people. We eat life. And if we eat life, then that life that we eat must have a place to survive for themselves. And of course, you don't allow that. And so on it goes. You have to make a better decision, or the world will end. So make a better decision. Understand what is true before you do, if you're allowed. But understand this as well, that with fusion in particular, in a single second, 1 single second of ignition, and the world is dead. Can't put it out. Can't put out a forest fire. Certainly can't put out a 1,000,000-mile-long flame. Can't recall weapons of mass destruction. Can't change the fact that you destroyed the water supply. Can't change the fact that you allowed nature to be destroyed. Can't change the fact that you ate your way through everything and there's nothing left to eat. We eat life. There are too many things to even talk about it. Try to find your brain. Because the cult of university is actually Satan on earth. Because they are creating the threats that will make us extinct. Make a better choice. Make a better choice. Or you'll be extinct. So let's ask, why should you believe me? There is no reason to believe me. I don't want you to believe me. Don't believe me. Believe what is true, and only what is true. And let truth decide what it is that you will accept as the reality of our consequences, our truth, our existence in this world. And the truth of fusion is that it's already been destroyed. It doesn't exist. It has never existed. Evolution doesn't exist. It has never existed. Take a look at your own body. You are completely designed and engineered and absolutely a miracle, and there isn't any doubt whatsoever and all their claims of billions of years are irrelevant. What are they compared with? They have no clue. There are endless things that the universities have done that are simply lies, false, traitor, betrayal, terrorism, all of it. They're attempting to destroy nature itself. They're attempting to burn atoms for fuel. While you think that might be a good idea, we can't control the fire. And we can't control the radiation. And we can't control anything that they do once they do it. So the price of being wrong is extinction. So, it's a case of choice. Are you willing to gamble your entire world? Are you willing to gamble every part of nature? Because we can't put it back. And the ignition of an atomic fire means you can't go back. There is no second chance. There is no gonna do it again. We'll do it better this time. There is none of that. It is one time and one time only. And take a look around, and every threat, just about almost 99.9% of every threat that offers to make us extinct, make our lives destroyed, is from the university and their experts. Take a look at everything. Your industry, your stores, all of it is a monopoly today, even though it's against the law. The law says that there shall be no monopoly, but everything is a monopoly. Just a tiny, tiny few decide. Just a tiny, tiny few decide of government, just a tiny few decide of media, just a tiny few decide of business, just a tiny few decide in the military. Doesn't matter what it is, it's communism. Only a tiny few who claim to be experts decide. They're not experts. They're your former classmates. That's all they are, your former classmates. So, how many of them were God? How many? They were none of them. So, our ability to survive is dependent upon our choices. And our choices must be for a sustainable world. It must be for, life comes first, not their claim of expertise. Life comes first. And that means that we don't do anything that should destroy the world. In other words, no, they can't have their endless talks and endless whatever it is that they want to claim to avoid the idea that we have to change. We can't let this die. But that's what they do. They simply hide behind the curtain of, well, we'll have a group of wise people decide for us. And no such thing. There's only truth, and truth decides means that we have a chance to survive. That's all there is. And there's they have made their commitment with in this USA. Inflation is a result of their hidden taxation. That's all it is. Inflation is a result of their hidden taxation. They spent money they didn't have. They spent money they couldn't collect. They refused to tell us what they were doing because then we'd have said no. And so they just spent it, and then they hand us the bill now. And of course, the debts that they created, which are $100 trillion, that can't be paid either. All of the money that you have, all of the numbers that you have, all of it put together cannot, all the resources on Earth, it's a finite planet, there's a limit to everything. All of the resources on Earth cannot be bought with your numbers. There are not enough resources to give you what you want for the numbers that you have. All you can do is, as has been done, is destroy the world itself, destroy the future, assassinate every child that has been or will ever come, because there's nothing left for them. Without resources, there is no work, there is no life. It's like being in the desert. What are you going to get in the desert? What? And of course, then we have 60 years of chemicals on chemicals on chemicals on chemicals on chemicals. Where did they go? What happened to the water? It's all being used for ethanol. What is that? You know, it is. There's an endless amount of things that university does that university fails at. They are an insurgency. They are destroying democracy itself. They are a liar, a thief, a cheat, a traitor, a terrorist. All of the things that are wrong in this world start with university because that's what people want. And so it starts with people. What you want is what you want is what you want, and what you don't want is what you want. You know, you don't want it. So the university says, like all good politicians, I'll give you what you want. That's what I'll do. I'll give you what you want. And that's what they did. Hide the consequences, hide the truth of what it costs, hide everything, give you what you want. But the end result is that the world is dying from all the things that you did do. And our only chance to save this earth, to save our lives, to save our nature, is to gather together as one united nation, as one world, and demand that we're going to decide for ourselves. We're going to decide for ourselves. Go ahead and put your best foot forward, you know, demand and define what is or is not true, define the cost of being wrong, let us decide. That's what we need to do, that's what we want to do, and if you want to gamble this earth on the lives of university, go ahead. I can't stop you. You know that. I can't stop you. You can't stop the world, but we, the world, can stop the world from doing it. And that's what it takes. We, the world, or at least we, the nation, to get it started. We have to start by saying to those who are tyrants over us, you know, they have all the rights, you know, once you have a monopoly over anything, and that includes government, then the government says, well, you can't have it unless you buy it from us, and we're not going to sell it to you until you cry, or until you beg, until to whatever it is, because that's what tyrants do. So you have to make a choice. Either you can continue with your lies and cheating and stealing and the claims of Wall Street, for instance, which are, you know, a complete lie. There's nothing, it's all pure fantasy. And, you know, 10,000 other things. Really just 10,000 other things. You know, it's a life-ending on earth decision. Either we find what is true and let truth decide what we can and cannot do, or we die from the causes and the consequences of decisions that were just lies, were just theories. Because, you know, the university claims they know what's going on in the sun, but they don't know what's going on in the sun. Can you see through 1,000,000 miles worth of flame? Can you? Can you? Can you? No. Can you, you know, at CERN they claim they found new elements. But it's only new elements on a computer screen for a billionth of a second. That's their claim, that's their evidence. But reality says you didn't do anything. You just made a lie so you could keep on collecting money. As is the 99.9% of all other university experiments and so on. Just claiming money. Just finding a way to create a fraud that gives somebody employment over somebody else. It's fraud. All of it's fraud. Everything is a fraud. It's all university driven. Yes, we can. That's what they claim. Yes, we can. But the end result of that is that we don't live. Extinction. You can't live without water. So why don't you investigate the water? Just go ahead and investigate the water for what is real, not what they say. Prove what is real. You know, just do something else. Find a way. And that means you have to organize, you have to unite, you have to create a public vote to demand in this nation, the United States, that there will be a redress of grievances. It's a First Amendment law, and it means that we the people shall decide now, and what we're deciding is whether or not they actually, our employees in government actually kept the oath that they declared that they swore to that they would do. And that oath, of course, is to the preamble of the United States. Go ahead and read it, see what it is that they're supposed to be doing, and then decide if they are in fact doing it. And of course, there is no element of any kind that allows them to gamble with our entire world, or nation, or the future of every life or every future life. None of it. There is absolutely corruption and conspiracy and collusion to destroy the United States, to destroy the world, to destroy everything in the university. They are terrorists. And I say that because nobody else would even dare to completely destroy the nature itself. And nature is genetics. There is nothing else about nature that's not genetics. Nature is genetics. It builds the body of life. You can't build a body of life. Nature builds the body of life. And once they destroy it, we can't put it back. And of course, trying to ignite atoms on fire, which is the only thing their reactors and things can do, that's terrorism too. Poisoning all the water supply, that's terrorism too. All of it's a terrorist act of betrayal. Find a brain, your own brain, and stop believing in the cult. Men create war because they all decide our only choice here is to take what we want. The law is not our friend. So that's what war is, the end of law. And of course the end of war means that law has come back, because war was not an answer. It's simply a way of disposing of people, and disposing of the people who claim an ownership of things, and taking away what they own, and making it available to someone who will rebuild it with resources we no longer have. 9 billion people on Earth today, more or less, or soon will be. Think about that for a minute. It's like 4 or 5 trips to, 20, no, I think it's 22 trips to the moon and back, a solid line of humanity. It's a lot of people. And they all need things. They all need resources. They all need food. You have no option. You're not going to have the water. You're not going to have the food. You're not going to have anything. And the university is not your friend, because there are consequences to what they do, and those consequences mean extinction. So war is not a solution, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. There's always hate. So let the people who hate gather together with just the weapons of 1,000 years ago and kill themselves. Why not? Let the people who hate kill themselves in their war, and let them decide what it is they're going to put up for collateral for whatever it is that they fight for. Leave the rest alone. Or more correctly, the final solution to whether we live or die is law. We must have law. That's the decision of all of us, not the decision of a few, not a politician who makes the law that we have to obey because they sell the law to the highest bidder. The law we make. And of course that means that we have to accept reality. Not one. It has to be reality did that. So it's not a choice, it's a truth. Let truth decide. And then we have to have limited capitalism, because limited capitalism is our vote as a nation. This is the limit of income that you have for the year. This is it. You can make it in a day if you want. If you can make it in a day, but you can't make any more for an entire year beyond that. That's it. Same is true of possessions. This is all you get. This is it. This is all you get. And you cannot, avoid that. You can have some exception to the rule if you want, but the end result is that limited capitalism means that we all decide what the limits of each income will be, and of course people want to be rich, but that means you're making somebody else a slave. That's what rich means. It means you have slaves. It means you can take the resources they want for yourself. So limited capitalism is the final solution to making life better on Earth. And then, of course, truth decides is the key of everything. You cannot just want, or you cannot believe. You cannot, there's how many different religions on Earth because of belief. I want to believe what I want to believe. And of course, that's exactly what they do. And the universities want to believe what they want to believe. They want to believe they can be God, but of course they cannot. They can only be Satan. And you need to make them understand that, because otherwise we'll be extinct. We will be extinct. 9 billion people have a lot of needs. And their answer, or with men in charge, their answer is war. That's it. Their answer is war, as history proves true. Take a look back in history, no matter where you go, and their answer is war. And of course, that's not an answer, that's an end. Particularly with the weapons of mass destruction that we have today. So you could either, choose the law to get rid of those weapons, choose the law that international forces will decide, choose the law that says that different groups will be separated, so that if their population increase is overwhelming their environment, that's their problem. If you don't control your population, that's your problem. It's not our problem. No, you can't immigrate anymore. You have to stay behind the line. And the only way we can really create lines is to separate, the different aspects of humanity into the groups that they already are, so that their population increase is their own population increase, and if they don't contain it, then that's just too bad. So these are the things that are required, and of course religion, resources, or natural resources are the things that nature gave us. It wasn't you that did it. Nature gave us that. So we can all, decide to share those things in a realistic and honest way, or we can war for them, because there's going to be war. China, for instance, is based on manufacturing, and all that manufacturing requires resources, just like it does everywhere else on Earth. So the competition for resources will be great. And of course, then there will be people who say, you can't have it. And then, of course, the war will be, well, I have to have it. We have to have it. And so they have war. It's coming. But there's only a limited amount of resources on a finite planet. That's it. There's no more. And of course, they want fusion because it'll answer all the problems of pollution and everything that fossil fuel is. But of course, the problem with that is they cannot control the fire. Take a look at the sun. You really want to bring that here? Million-mile-long flames with radiation that will kill you from 94 million miles away already without ozone. And of course, the jet planes burn ozone for fuel to ignite their fuel. So you can't go gallivanting around the world. You can't have anything that university has taught you to want. There's basically nothing that the university has taught you that it'll survive. So I'm finishing 50 years or more or less of fighting with you, and I'm done. This is your choice. It's always been your choice, and you've always said, no, 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 no. We won't do whatever we have to do. We want to do what we want. And of course, what you want is to take everything you can take and destroy the world instead. of life, even destroying your own child. I don't agree with those things, you know. And I'm making one final statement to wrap it up. So you know, I wish you well, but reality says you're not going to make it. The evidence all says that you're not going to make it. The proof of what you do identifies that it will be you will be extinct. And of course, there's no going back. Once you pass the point of no return, there is no going back. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you decide. Past the point of no return, there is no going back. It's like the water supply ends, and well, what are you going to do then? And the answer is you're going to war for it. And you're going to war at such extreme levels that it will be an apocalypse. And of course, with nature destroyed, nature in chaos because the universities injected chaos. That's what they do. They inject chaos into genetics. And with Armageddon, which means, you know, nature in chaos, that's what you get. And of course, then, you know, there's claims that, or predictions that the world ends, or the final end of life on Earth is a world on fire. And of course, you know, trying to ignite an atomic bomb, burn the atoms is exactly what that is. And of course, that would be Hades, or life, or eternity in terror. So you know, these are things that you choose, or you don't choose. Hope means that that you're going to make a different decision based upon truth. Of course, I haven't seen that yet. You never make a decision based on truth. You make a decision based on what? What? That's what you do. But reality is reality, and truth is truth. And you don't get a say in the final days of life on Earth if you don't choose to let truth decide what can or cannot be done. So, I wish you well. I don't judge you. I really don't. You know, we're all human here. But the end result of it is that the university has given you what you wanted by lies, counterfeiting currency, creating debts that can't be paid, and so on. And you wanted that. You have to stop wanting that. You have to let truth decide, or the world will end. One of the tragedies of human life is a claim of nobility. It's been going on since you know, the beginning of time. I get to have more because I was born whatever. And of course, the universities are now the new nobility of our particular world, or our particular time on Earth, and they claim that the diploma is their guarantee that they are superior. Just like the nobility, we are superior. We get more. And of course, the universities demand more, and take more, and counterfeit more, and disease more, and betray more, and so on. Because that's what they do, just like the nobility of the old. And of course, you know, the reality is that I've talked to university graduates, and it says, you know, sometime later it says, best years of my life, almost every time. And why would it not be? Because they are, you know, at the age of freedom, and at the age of you know, first time, and surrounded by gender realities that you know, so they can be free to talk to other people and have ideas and beliefs and all the things that that have value. So, but why do we need to pay them for you know, best years of my life? Why? 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 And the answer, of course, is that the university elite who teach the class want to be paid $1 trillion or more for their time served, even if they're not there. They want to be paid. And there's no greater emblem of the thievery that goes on than, of course, the university, or the the healthcare industry. It's roughly $5 trillion of expense for the nation every year, and that means that $1 trillion is equal to $10,000 for each and every one of 100 million people. So $5 trillion is $50,000 for each and every one, or 1/3 of us, just about. So 1/3 of us, one in every three of us, is supposedly spending $50,000 to health care. To health care. That's before taxes or anything else. And of course, taxes are, you have 15 or more different taxes to take everything that you have. Everything is wrong. Everything is a reality of what the university did to us, an insurgency beyond belief, because they could, just like all the nobility that ever existed. They could, so they did. They did. And of course, that ended up with government and the failure of nations and so on, which is exactly what we're facing today. And then, of course, Trump was hired to remove that, which he's trying to do, but he wants the power, and it's a whole thing. And of course, Biden was hired to retain that, and of course, that's what he did for the universities as well as other governors and things. University is God, and you got to pay them whatever they want. Whatever they want. It doesn't matter what they want. Pay them whatever they want. But that's not life, and that's of course why we have inflation. Inflation just means that they couldn't pay the university bill, the diploma bill, so they counterfeited money to pay them with. That's what they did. They counterfeited money and created debts to pay the universities whatever they wanted, and the end result of that, of course, is they bankrupted our nation, this United States of America. Believe it or not, it is bankrupted. There is no resolution to the numbers. There is no reality to the numbers. There is nothing but numbers, and numbers have no meaning, because unless you can translate them into something actually real, they have no meaning. And of course, the resources are not there to give the United States what it claims in money, and the world claims $2 quadrillion of currency, and so there's nothing for them either. In other words, the entire world is governed by the university knows best. The university expert takes control of everything. The university is God. And of course, I still have a lump on my knee that was supposed to be excised by a surgeon. But he got there and it was canceled because I didn't have someone sitting in the surgery outpatient thing waiting for me. That was, a complete lie. And of course, their initial estimate was for $80,000 an hour. Still canceled it. Told me cancel a dozen times. I said, all right, it's canceled. But the end result of that is that, if he can, who among you turns down $80,000 an hour for a 15-minute job? Who does that? And the answer is greed and pride and power and all the things that we hate. Nobility. So the end result of that is, of course, the only way to get rid of nobility is to get rid of the title of nobility and make them equal. And of course, how do we do that and still retain an educated society? And the answer to that, of course, is to remove the university as it is, and remove the high school as it is, and make the people, when you get out of grade school, and before you get out actually, you get to start on your job. You get to start training for your job. In other words, high school is removed and the university takes its place, and we pay them accordingly. Not what they want, accordingly. They have no right to insist upon whatever they want. It's it's like COVID. The initial expense was $6 trillion. That's $60,000 per shot. $60,000 per shot. That's what they call, COVID. Going to be a vaccine, experimental vaccine. That was actual tragedy. And then of course there's all the experimental vaccines that come from that and everything else that they come from that. And that 6 trillion was just the beginning. They got lots more. And where did it all go? It went to the university elite because they're the only ones who get the money. And so, in other words, if you want your society or your nation or your world back, you have to go back to reality. You have to find out what is true. You have to enforce the law, which is redress of grievances, which means that we're going to investigate the evidence of what it is that you claim is true, and we're going to find out what is false, and we're going to find out what the cost of being wrong is, and we're going to change that by our own vote. Not your vote, not your law, not your government, not your anything. As employees of ours, we, the people, are going to change what needs to be changed in order to redevelop and refine and redistribute and redo everything that the universities did wrong. And of course, everything they did is basically they did wrong. Now, there's a little bit that can be kept, but there's not a lot. There's really just a little bit that can be kept. All the rest of it was bad in one way or another. So start using your brain, start thinking about, what it is that is wrong with your life, what it is that is not justified or equal or whatever it is that you think is wrong. And then let's discuss that. Real terms, not squealing and crying and screaming. Real terms. You can't force somebody to give you food when there is no food. You can't force somebody to give you water when there is no water. You can't just complain. You have to accept the reality of what is and is not true. And you have to make changes in order to have what it is that you want. So you have a long way to go back to reality. But if you don't go, if you don't accept that change is needed, if you don't let law decide, all you're going to get is extinction. Of the many realities of life are the homeless. And of course, they're homeless for a reason. Nobody gives them a job. So they deserve a job. And of course, you have to accept the idea that you just can't be as rich as you want to be so they can have a job. That's the reality of it. But as far as, people who are homeless and on the street, they really, really do need a shelter which can keep them safe. And to create a shelter that can keep them safe, you just use a 4x8 sheet of plywood. You build it out of plywood, 4 foot wide and 8 foot long, and 7 or 8 foot tall, and you build it on a trailer so that it's movable, and you create four sides to an enclosure. Everything runs to the middle, and you have utilities on the inside of that little fort, so that each can feel protected, and all the tenants can decide whether or not someone deserves to be thrown out, separated, or young women here, young men there, whatever it is that you decide to do. There's no reason why they can't have at least some security at night, at least some security when they're sick, at least some security to some extent if you don't provide them a job, particularly at that. So, in religion, of course, they say, well, it's not quite good enough, but it is good enough. One light bulb, one incandescent light bulb, would heat that amount of space and light it up. Think about it. Let them build their own. Let them build their own. They can have it. All you do is provide the parts. Let them build their own. and use any vacant lot in a city. Every single one. You have plumbing and sewage there. And of course, if their crime goes up, then they can be moved. But if crime does not go up, then they stay. So they have an incentive, and so on. I do believe that there's hope for life on Earth to survive if you change. And that's based on we, the world, have to communicate this fact that the world has changed, our existence has changed. We can no longer just be benign about anything that the university does. They have the tools to make us extinct. As do, the military leaders. They have the tools to make us extinct, courtesy of the universities. And, our money supply is completely a fraud, courtesy of the universities. Everything is a fraud due to university. That doesn't mean you go and attack them. It only means that we need to identify what is true and what is false and what is the cost of being wrong. But we have to do it as a world. It's not a game. It's not a choice. It's not us or them. It's not, you're too skinny or they're too fat or whatever it is, black or white, or it doesn't matter. This is our world, and we're all going to live, or we're all going to die accordingly, because that's what the evidence proves. So, don't give up. Fight for your world. Fight for your life. Fight for your child. Fight for everything that is important to you. Animals, whatever it is, fight for them. Don't give up. Fight for them. And accept the idea, accept the truth, that we have to communicate with ourselves as best we can, whatever that means to you, as best we can, so that there is a chance for change. It's a choice. It's your choice. So make that decision, or let it die, but the world dies with you. So we have to have you communicate. It's worth the effort. Because believe it or not, whatever it costs us to survive is far, far less than what it will cost us to die as a world. So says the evidence of what is real. And even you can get some degree of understanding about what that really means. Just the fact of our population is enough to make us die. Just the fact that we're going to run out of water and resources and everything else is enough to make us die. Make a decision to share and to care and to respect life and to make the changes that we need to make in order for this world to survive. It's not a game. They've been playing games for the last 50 years or more. That's what the university does, plays games with our lives and our world and our everything. It's time to end the games, back to reality, back to truth decides. Not theories, not want, not imagination, not fantasies, not delusions, not foolishness, not failure. Truth decides. That's the choice. Your choice. Make it.